in states. I'm telling you as of today, my local government, actually the LCDA created by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our LCDA was the first to go into housing development in Nigeria. It was commissioned on Friday by Mr. Governor. So now, at the local level, at the local government level, we have to follow all the established frameworks. Lagos State has actually established the strongest building framework in Nigeria. And we all know that. We have the material testing, we have Lagos State Building Control, we have LASPA, we have other agencies that looks into this. But most of our developers, our private sectors, our partners, they've actually intentionally refused to follow all these rules. I'm sorry, I know it might, you might not like it, but a lot of the developers they don't want to go through that route because one, they believe that they don't want to pay, they don't want to pay the government the prescribed fee. But at the end of the day, I can tell you that if you're buying a land, the first thing I believe you should do is to go for searches, to search if this land is habitable, if it's due for, you can use it for development. But most of us now, most of the real estate developers have refused, they've intentionally ignored this. They believe that they have a lot of experience, and the next thing you see when they buy a land, they want to do groundbreaking immediately. They want to get money, like my brother said, greed of money. They just want people to come and start paying, buy into the property, buy the land, so that they can develop as fast as possible. But I can tell you, you can actually avoid all this by doing the necessary, going through the necessary step, follow the building code, obey the building regulations and all that. That will actually avert disasters. But also, at the local government, when we're about to start our project, we actually involve the Community Development Association. We so that they'll be like a police for us. Sometimes most of our developers we just want to do what they like. And let me quickly give you an example. In one of our projects, there's our site service going on, was actually part of that project. Somebody bought a land and he was doing the construction. They noticed that it was not, at after the first slab, the roof level, they actually refused to actually construct the roof beam, which would know that if there's a heavy wind or rainfall, the roof will actually be blown away. So they called my attention, through the CDA, they called my attention to that. I have to go there myself to go and check. And I actually called the consultant and said, what is going on here? Why would you allow this? He said, I'm not aware. I said, no, you're paid to do this job. I just said,
sorry, sir. If I hear you correctly, you're saying we should expand the engagements to include all stakeholders.
All stakeholders.
Because when a disaster occurs, it's not in Kotobago, Joabamu.
It will affect them. It will affect the community.
Thank you very much.
They're actually part of it and they're doing that. So my own advice for the real estate practitioners is for you guys to go and do the proper documentation, follow the procedure, follow the building code, the regulation, and make sure you comply with it. And Lagos State is actually there. They check all this. There's what they call state certification. There's a Q test that you do and send it to material testing. If you ask most of the developers, they don't do it. So at the end of the day, what they result to, when they go to LASCA will ask them to go and do NDT, non-destructive test. But sometimes it might be late. And that will lead to financial disaster.
I have to interject you there. Now, the conversation will not be concluded today, so we'll be announcing the link when we keep the conversation going, where your questions can be asked. But very quickly, I would like closing remarks. But let me ask you, we are not able to touch on best practice. I'm persuaded to talk about one, for example. I know a lot about Amsterdam. I've done extensive research about Amsterdam. Amsterdam is below sea level. And they have these massive gutters that go around the whole of Amsterdam. And they make sure the water circulates. Now they've gone an extent further to use those gutters as tourist opportunities. So you go in these canoes where you see the whole city. So we're not able to look at what are new ways, digitalization, we didn't talk about it. So each one of you, 1 minute closing counsel. What are you suggesting that we'll take away from here, whether to your relatives, to the government? What are we? I know one of the things that is still missing and the government should do is enforcement. So what are you suggesting as your final closing counsel? 30 seconds.
Okay, so I'll allow you to talk about the Amsterdam, but you understand. My own is the enforcement you talked about. This is very important. When I spoke to someone and it was like, when your people build in wrong places, will be demolished. And I told him, sir, we cannot continue to demolish. The end users and the users here, they are the investors. At the end of the short end of the story. Let us put us on check. Let us be liable for those disasters. We will sit up. So for enforcement that you talked about, it's very important at this point.
So enforcement.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Then he talked about lack of professionalism. I would agree with that. He talked about developers wanting to make money, clients wanting to buy cheap. So we need to understand that houses are not cheap. Therefore, let's be quick to sell cheap houses. Houses cannot be cheap.
Because they need cheap housing materials.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, your 30 seconds.
Okay, I won't speak on Amsterdam. I'll speak on advocacy. And I'm speaking to the government now. Advocacy and regulation. I can tell you, if you call 20 people on the streets today and you ask each person to tell you what they believe was the reason why those houses in the Lekki area were demolished, most people would not know. I was asked this question far away in Saudi a week ago, and I tried to defend my country, but to be honest, I didn't have the correct answers. It behoves on the government to educate the people. Let us know where the developers went wrong. Let us also know so that buyers would beware. Because what we call collateral damage is a big problem. If people start saying that you can buy a property in Lagos and you lose it, it's the beginning of a problem. Ghana is taking a lot of the African Americans from us. As we learned 3 years ago, 1st of January 2020, the year COVID started. And I tell you, 186 African Americans, I was speaking to them, trying to get them to come to Nigeria, and most of them, well, some were afraid of crime, and the others were afraid of our tithing. We need to let people know survey receipt and purchase receipt isn't title. We need to let people know when people come to me, 36 years of real estate practice, and ask me to check this title. I say, I'm not a lawyer. Go to a real estate lawyer to check out your title.
Thank you.
But the advocacy must come from the government so that people know that they're safe and secure to invest in the 4th biggest economy in Africa, which is Lagos.
So that we can safeguard an economic disaster. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
30 seconds.
Let's talk about I want to talk about the financial disaster. For us to avoid that, I think from the government side, I want to from the advocacy is very important. Lagos State government is actually doing that, but I think our developers need to do more about this.
Thank you.
For you to avoid financial disaster, you need to follow the regulation. You need to follow the building code and do all the necessary things that you need to do for you to avoid financial disaster.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lusu.
So finally, my word will be to, number one, the developers. And I'll start by saying, let's manage our risks properly. In every development, there are different kinds of risks. There's a financial risk, there's a construction risk. And I think that for most of our developers, we want to do everything because we think that we can make money from all the different aspects of development. From our experience, we have situations now where we insist that we want a contractor different from developer because we have had one or two bad experiences with developers doing everything. And so we say to developers, outsource your risk, your construction risk. Give it to credible contractors who are known. For the building that collapsed in Ikoyi, that was one of the issues. So give it to outsource it. And then you can go to it because the contractor will give you a performance bond. The contractor will be the one to ensure that all the things that needs to be met, all the things that parameters need to put in place are put in place. The construction will be done to standard. So if there are any issues, one, the contractor will be held liable, not the developer. Number one, the developer at the same time, I want to say, don't overtrade. You have several sites, and you at the same time you want to be the developer and the contractor at all the sites. Please, let's separate and manage our risks. Face your own area. You want to be the one selling. Face your selling or sales and marketing. Let the contractor do the construction, and then you can also ensure that what needs to be put in place is put in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bengalani, can we put our hands together for him? Dr. Olalade Abuta, please put our hands for him. Honorable Mayor Dele Oshinowo and my colleague Adiola Olusodo, we have been your panelists on this issue. Thank